They achieved the impossible, but someone else claimed the glory. Forgotten innovators, erased pioneers. Their triumphs were buried, their names nearly lost to time. This is the story of those who did it first, only for history to give someone else the credit. Imagine a woman ruling ancient Egypt, not as queen, but as pharaoh, wearing the false beard of kings, commanding armies, building monuments that scraped the sky. Her name was Hatshepsut, and nearly 3,500 years ago she ruled Egypt with brilliance. Her reign was peaceful, prosperous, and powerful. Trade boomed, temples rose, art flourished. She sent ships to far-off lands and returned with incense, gold, and living trees. But after her death, her successor, possibly her own stepson, erased her. Her statues were smashed. Her name was scraped off walls. History tried to forget she ruled. For centuries it worked. When modern archaeologists first uncovered her temple, they were puzzled. A great ruler's monument, but no name. Only later did the truth emerge. A woman had claimed the title of pharaoh and ruled as Egypt's king. She had done it first. And history almost gave someone else the crown. Before Columbus, before Magellan, before da Gama, there was a fleet that dwarfed them all. In the early 1400s, Admiral Zheng He commanded a Chinese navy of staggering size. Over 300 ships, some nearly 400 feet long. His crews numbered in the tens of thousands. He carried gifts, scholars, and even giraffes to show China's might. He wasn't conquering. He was forging diplomacy across the Indian Ocean. To India, Arabia, East Africa, spreading peace, not war. He mapped routes that Western explorers would follow a century later. But after the emperor who backed him died, everything changed. China turned inward. Records were destroyed, ships dismantled. The memory of Zheng He faded. Columbus became the symbol of exploration in Western textbooks. But Zheng He had already sailed farther, with more men on more ships. He did it first. But his story was sunk beneath the waves of time. In a dark lab, under radioactive film, a photograph developed that would change the world. Photo 51. It was Russell and Franklin who captured it. An X-ray image of DNA that revealed its helical shape. She didn't know it, but that photo would lead to the discovery of the double helix, the secret of life. Her male colleagues saw the image, without her permission, and raced to publish. Watson and Crick became famous. They won the Nobel Prize. Franklin died at 37, her contribution minimized, her name barely mentioned. But without her work, their breakthrough may never have happened. She did it first, but the credit spiraled elsewhere. Only decades later did the world realize the truth. Schools and labs now carry her name, but the prize went to others. They called her a computer. Katherine Johnson, a brilliant mathematician, worked at NASA when it was still segregated. Her calculations sent astronauts into orbit and safely home. Before electronic computers were trusted, her equations plotted the course of space missions. John Glenn, the first American to orbit Earth, refused to launch unless she personally double-checked the math. Yet for decades, her name was unknown outside NASA. White male engineers were celebrated, books were written, statues raised. But the black woman whose brain powered the stars? Overlooked. She did it first, in silence, in shadows. Only in her later years did the world finally recognize her genius, with medals, tributes, and a movie that revealed what history had hidden. In the 1840s, hospitals were killing women. In one Vienna maternity clinic, the mortality rate was staggering. New mothers died by the hundreds. Then, a young doctor, Ignaz Semmelweis, noticed something. Doctors who came from autopsies and didn't wash their hands had patients who died. He ordered hand washing with chlorine. Deaths plummeted. The response? Laughter, mockery. Doctors were insulted by the idea they carried disease. Semmelweis was fired, ridiculed, institutionalized. He died alone, a broken man. Years later, germ theory proved him right. Hand washing saved millions. But the hero who saw it first? History gave his discovery to others. In the early 20th century, Robert Goddard dreamed of rockets that could reach space. He built them, tested them, calculated trajectories with precision. But when he published his theories, newspapers mocked him. Scientists dismissed him. They said rockets couldn't work in a vacuum. They laughed at the idea of space travel. Goddard kept building, quietly, away from cameras. In 1926, he launched the first liquid-fueled rocket. By the time the world was ready for space, he was gone. NASA would later name its flight center after him, but during his life, he was a joke. He did it first, and died in silence. In colonial Boston, smallpox was ravaging the population. A minister named Cotton Mather learned about variolation, the practice of deliberately infecting someone with a small amount of disease to build immunity. But where did he hear it? From an enslaved African man named Onesimus. In his homeland, they had long practiced inoculation. He shared the method. Mather promoted it. Doctors resisted. But trials proved it worked, cutting death rates dramatically. Onesimus likely saved hundreds of lives, but he never saw freedom. He never saw credit. He was just property. History footnoted his name. The breakthrough was attributed to others. But make no mistake, he did it first. We all know names like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. But have you heard of Radia Perlman? Without her invention, the internet, as we know it, wouldn't work. In the 1980s, she created the Spanning Tree Protocol, a foundational algorithm that allows networks to communicate efficiently. It solved a major problem. It made the modern web scalable. But because she wasn't loud, because she wasn't male, because she wasn't a CEO, her name didn't become legend. She changed the world from behind the scenes. She did it first, and only now are we beginning to understand how much we owe her. Bessie Coleman was the first African-American woman to earn a pilot's license. But no American flight school would train her because of her race and gender. So she went to France, learned to fly, and returned home to perform breathtaking aerial stunts. She dreamed of opening a flight school for black aviators. She died young in a tragic crash. Meanwhile, Amelia Earhart became an icon, rightfully celebrated. But Bessie? Forgotten by textbooks, left out of the museum halls. She did it first. She broke the skies wide open. But history looked the other way. Before Elvis, before the Beatles, there was Sister Rosetta Tharpe, a gospel singer with an electric guitar, shredding riffs that would define rock music decades before the term even existed. She played to roaring crowds. She broke musical rules. Her rhythm, her soul. It inspired Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and more. Yet when rock and roll took off, she was left behind. Because she was black. Because she was a woman. Because her gospel roots didn't fit the new narrative. She did it first, and the sound of rock was born in her chords. Today, musicians cite her as the godmother of rock, but for years, her name was an echo in backstage halls. History is written by the loud, the powerful, and too often, the last. But the truth? The real breakthroughs, the ones that changed everything, often came from voices buried beneath the headlines. They were women, people of color, scientists ahead of their time, dreamers in the margins. They weren't looking for fame. They were solving problems, creating beauty, daring to ask questions no one else would. And they did it first. But history gave someone else the credit. That ends here. If this video made you feel something, like it, share it, and drop a comment. Who else did it first, but got left behind? Help us tell their stories, because truth matters, and the ones who did it first, they deserve to be remembered.